Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is David Snyder. I'm a support specialist here at Aladtec. Today's webinar should run about 45 minutes, starting off with just a brief overview of Aladtec. Then I'll hand it off and you can get right into looking at an overview of the Aladtec system. So today we'll go over some features such as the member database, which is a great tool for setting up work qualifications, tracking member certifications, setting up messaging notifications, and much more. Then we'll talk a little bit about our schedule views and dive into some of the different ways you can view things such as trades, time off, events, and really see how you can filter it to get the exact information you need to see at any given time. We'll go over our customizable forms feature, which allows you to go paperless by creating electronic forms such as rig checks, end of shift reports, PO requests, and whatever specific forms your department or agency might need. From forms, we can share a little bit about how Aladtec reports work. See how you can take all the information in your Aladtec system and really filter it down and generate some really useful reports. Finally, we'll have a brief Q&A session at the end of the webinar. If you do have questions during the webinar, go ahead and post them in our GoToWebinar questions panel, and a support representative will be monitoring those and answer them as they come in, and maybe save a few to share with everyone at the end. So what is Aladtec? We're an online scheduling and workforce management software solution specially built from the ground up to handle the unique staffing habits of public safety agencies across the US and Canada. We started in 2002 as a web-based scheduling system for a local ambulance service, and since then, Aladtec has grown to host more than 2,300 agencies with 145,000 users across the US and Canada. Today, we're based here in River Falls, Wisconsin, about 30 minutes east of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Our healthcare customers range from small rural services with 30 members to large services with hundreds of workers. We do everything here in-house from engineering and configuration to sales and support as well. When you call, you'll always speak with a real person in Wisconsin. You can access Aladtec anytime online via desktop, tablet, or smartphone. It updates instantly so you always have the most up-to-date version of your schedules and other content. There are no extra costs. We provide all setup, training, and unlimited telephone support as long as you're an Aladtec user. With Aladtec, it's all customizable. We can create schedules as unique as your department needs. As long as you can describe the pattern, we can help you replicate it as a schedule. Speaking of schedules, let's switch gears here now and we'll give you an overview of Aladtec's features and some of its benefits, and this will help you determine whether our system is a good fit for your organization.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. We're getting this kicked off right now. I'm going to give you kind of a high-level overview of the Aladtec system, and definitely, as we take a look at things, think of this. This is more of just a generic demo of showing how our system can work. If you are really interested in taking a look even deeper, we do have customized demos that we can walk you through, and then we would also allow you to kind of test drive that as well. So as we look at things, we're going to be looking at things mostly as an administrator. I'll show you what it would look like from a member's perspective, but definitely as we take a look at things, jot some notes down. You can send some questions over to our team that we can answer, and otherwise, sit back and take a look at what the Aladtec system can do. So the first thing I want to point out is we are completely cloud-based, nothing to download or install. You just pull up the browser of your device and then go to the link that we've set up. Everybody does get their own username and password. As they're logging into the system, things will be pertaining to them. They'll be a little bit more specific. It'll remember them in the settings that they have set up already. The home screen, when we take a look at that, as an administrator, the biggest thing you want to point out is the dashboard on the right-hand side. So our system, wide open, does keep track of the schedule as well as any changes to the schedule. We actually call those our change requests. So we have 4 of those that are active, built-in functionality within the system. The first one is our time off management piece. So the system does allow your members to request time off. You as an administrator would be allowed to approve those or deny those. We do also have banks of hours if you do want to keep track of accrual banks within the system. So that time off management piece is built right in. The second thing is what we call our trade. So if you do allow trading of shifts, the system will allow you to manage that, to facilitate that. As your members start trading the shifts, then you would get to approve or deny those requests as well. So that's the second thing. The third thing, think of this as what we call our signups feature. If you've got an open shift in the future and you're looking for someone to cover it, this allows you to post that, and then your members can go in and they can sign up for it. We even have a coverage alert that allows you to kick out a text and email notification that you have signups available in the system. And the last thing is our extra hours. If you've ever been held over past your normally scheduled shift or had to come in early, you need a mechanism to submit those requests that are outside of your normally scheduled shift. So that extra hours allows you to do that. On the dashboard, those change requests will come here when it's needing your attention. So when we've got those pending requests or pending things that we need to approve, but I'll show you what it would look like from a workflow standpoint when we take a look at the schedules. We also have a very robust member database. This can keep track of all kinds of information, including contact information, emergency contact information, certifications, licenses, anything that you wanted to assign to a specific individual. This will allow you to customize that. As an administrator, this will show you if there's anything that's been set for an expiration, for things that are expired or expiring within a certain number of days, but very customizable. And you'll see that flavor all throughout the Aladtec system, is that it's very customizable, and there's very little on our end that we can do that you can't. You can get in there and customize things for yourself. We also have an events calendar. Think of this as the non-working calendar, things that you want to post as far as meetings, training opportunities, PR events, open houses, birthdays, anything that you wanted to post and keep out in front of everybody. We're trying to be that one solution, that one place where you'd go for a majority of your information, especially when it revolves around your personnel and that it revolves around your schedule. So that events calendar allows you to keep that out in front of people. So the first things we want to jump over to is our member database. Our member database is very customizable, and we'll go right to the configurator. It's just simply drag and drop from the left-hand side when you want to customize the database to keeping track of the information that you want to keep track of. We've pre-populated it and loaded it with a few different pieces, but you can customize it at any time. One of the things that does set us apart is for our process that we have here at Aladtec is you, once you've been able to have like a discovery call with one of our sales reps, then what we do is we get you into a custom demo. And then if you decide to move forward, we don't just pass along a piece of software and you're on your own to figure it out. We actually schedule a setup call where we fine tune the member database and we fine tune the setup area before rollout. We also offer free and unlimited training. So at any time your administrators need some additional training on how to use the system, we can offer that as much as we would need to. So once you've configured the database itself, then it becomes managing the data. One thing to note is we understand it is your data. At any time you need to get that information out of the system, you can get that out into a spreadsheet or a CSV file. It also is an active database. It has some functionality built right into it. One of the things that you can do is you can actually do some filtering. So if you wanted to filter it out based on certain types of criteria, maybe you wanted to see all of your part-timers. If you want to see just a list of your part-timers, you just apply and it shows all the part-timers. Or if you're looking for a specific type of employee, maybe you're looking for someone that's in med-surg or somebody that's an RN or an LPN, you can do a lot of different filtering options within the member database itself. One of the other things we are able to do is we can actually take your information and we can import it with our import tool. So it does save a lot of data entry. So if you have things that are available in a spreadsheet format, we can just do that with a couple of clicks. We can also update those as you have some turnover, or if you have some additional employees that you're hiring, we can update that information for you without you spending an inordinate amount of time updating the system manually. If we dive one layer deeper, we'll just pick on Nicholas here at the top of the list. A few things to point out: each person does have their own profile or their own My Info page. We can add in things like date hired, if you do any types of seniority awarding. We can also add in some additional access levels. So think of access levels as permission to do things on the system itself. So top level administrators have all of the rights. Members are restricted on what they can do, what they can see. And then you can create some additional access levels. For instance, a scheduler, if you wanted to create one for payroll or finance or HR, or some outside source that you want to have access to the system to be able to look at the schedules, you can define what they can do and what they can see within the system. We also have work groups. Think of this as the working rules. So if you have any types of restrictions on any of those change requests, or if you have restrictions on the amount of hours that someone can work in a given range, you can set those, and those will run automatically in the background so that you even wouldn't be able to schedule someone past that threshold. We even have an overtime threshold that will calculate anything above a certain number of hours into an overtime category, if that's something that you use. I mentioned those messaging options within the database. The system does have the ability to send out text and email notifications from any of those change requests, but it also has the ability to send out group messages. Once people have plugged in their mobile phone number, chosen their provider, they can start receiving text messages. Once they've added in their email address, they can start receiving emails, and you can do multiple email addresses if you have a secondary, if you choose to receive those. And then your members can choose how they want those delivered. They can choose if they want text or emails or combination of. We even have an upcoming shift reminder that'll kick out a notification 24 hours before your shift. It'll also kick out a notification if there's been a change to your schedule, even within that 24-hour period. So a great friendly reminder for that. When we do the setup and when we organize the system for you during your trial or during your testing phase, we are able to create the schedules and positions as you need. Keep in mind the work qualifications are how we can make sure that the right people are working in the right spots at the right time. So we see two things that are important: schedules and positions. As long as those people have those abilities, those qualifications in the schedules, as well as the positions, then they can be physically placed into those positions and on those schedules. So we definitely want to keep those right people in the right spots. The rest is pretty generalized. As I mentioned, that's one of the things that we do during our process is we make sure and fine tune this member database so that it's ready to go prior to your rollout. And then let's take a look at the schedule. So that's the next area that we want to focus on. What you'll notice is we have multiple ways to see the same information, the same data, but just different types of formats. Our monthly calendar view is probably our most popular. If I scroll down here to something that's more this week, what you'll notice is the schedule in this monthly format shows several different things on the system. So you can see here's how a trade works out, where it shows, and it shows even the trade arrows. Here's how time off, when it's approved, would look. It actually pulls them from the schedule. If we did have any extra hours, it would show up here as well. Here's some signups. So these people have said, hey, I'm interested in this RN position that's happening on Friday. And so they've signed up for this position. And then you can determine based on your rules who you award that to. We even have some minimum staffing where you can set a flag to alert you if you've dropped below a certain number of employees that are scheduled. That will alert you here. We even have a daily notes feature that shows you kind of a whiteboard that you might have, so you can click on that and you can see some of the details for that. One of the things our system does do really well is we have that find coverage alert. This will allow you to kick out that notification by a text and email that you're looking for someone to cover that particular opening. It's going to automatically skip those people that are already scheduled. It's going to automatically bypass those people that have approved time off. You can include those if you choose. And then you have the option of sending it simultaneously all at once, or we even have what we call our staggered notifications, where you can actually define some rules and send that to one person at a time. Allow them to either accept or decline, and then it'll move to the next person. So essentially offering it to them. So if you have any kind of rotational list, this allows you to define those rules very easily. A few of the other work schedule views here, one of the ones that really is great is our daily summary view. This is kind of a snapshot of the day, who's scheduled where, what positions, what schedules. You'll see some additional information here when it comes to our additional schedules as far as any of those change requests. All of our work schedule views are printable. You can print off a copy of those, keep it with you. Keep in mind, once you push print, since our system is real time, it does separate from the system, and that printed copy can be out of date pretty quickly. Since we are obviously a cloud-based product, since you can access us from any internet connected device, we encourage you to make sure that you take a look at that, at the actual version, in order to see the details of the schedule itself. One of the ones that I really like, the weekly shifts view. It's a great snapshot of taking a look at kind of a week at a glance. Shows you if you have any openings. It also shows you some more details as far as any of those additional change requests at the bottom section. One area that I like to jump to at this point is to take a look at what it would look like from a member's perspective. So we'll just use the top person. We'll just pick on Nicholas here again. From a member's perspective, the system is very easy to use, very easy to navigate, very user-friendly. When Nicholas here would log into the system, he's able to see any upcoming shifts that he has, any events that are pertaining to him, any available trades on the trades board. And then by default, the members don't have access to the entire member database. They just have access to their own My Info page. So they can click on that, see any of their details of their profile. And then when they click on the schedule, they're able to see their own name highlighted. They can also choose whatever view that they'd like to look at as well. But a majority of their actions are going to be taking place in what we call the My Schedule page. This is a place where you can go and see your own schedule in a monthly format. This is also how you can interact with the system. So if you're looking to take maybe Friday off, you can click on your scheduled shift, initiate a time off request or initiate a trade request right from the system. Very easy to initiate those. You can also see if there's any open shifts that you could sign up for. You can even have this sync up with your home calendar, your spouse's calendar. So this will automatically update when there are changes to the system, either iCal, Google Cal, any of those calendar programs, you can sync it up to. You can also choose to look at things via mobile. You know, we are very mobile friendly. So when we take a look at the mobile version, I'll just format it here. There's nothing to download or install. You just simply pull up the browser of your device, whether it be Android or iOS, and you can see here's the dashboard, Nicholas's dashboard for any upcoming shifts, any available trades, any open shifts that he could sign up for, any time off that's happening in the future, and then any upcoming events as well. And then interacting with the mobile version, you can go right to the daily summary view to see a snapshot of who's working today. And you can make some options, some changes there. And then interacting with the system, going right to the mobile My Schedule, clicking on that scheduled shift and initiating that time off request or trade request right from the mobile version. So nothing to download or install. You can create a shortcut so it acts like a native app. We can just push some additional features and functionality within the system pretty easy. But definitely via mobile. You know, we have quite a few users. I think we're upwards of about 150,000 users. I'd say about 85% of those people are accessing the mobile, most of them exclusively. So very mobile friendly when it comes to being out either at home or out and about and checking your schedule. Even administratively, you'll have the ability to approve any of those change requests when those come in when you're out in the field. From an administrative side, I want to point out the tools that are available for you. The first thing I want to point out, these 4 tools are available. The first thing is the repeats and rotations. So if you do have anybody that's on any type of pattern of work, whether it be kind of a 2-week pattern, whether it be any sequential pattern, we can really customize those repetition types pretty quickly and easily from whatever type of pattern that you would need to. So you can create those patterns, schedule them out into the future for up to 2 years out in the future, and then their schedule will be automatically populated. And then it really becomes managing the day-to-day. So very easy to use the repeats and rotations tool to add in any type of repetition type that you might have or that your service might be utilizing. And then our hourly editor is where you can go, and this is making the day-to-day changes. So you're seeing a 24-hour snapshot per schedule. Not only do you have the ability to see all of the details when it comes to any minimum staffing, you can send out coverage alerts as well. You can also see if they're when people have marked themselves available or unavailable. You can also see where they have already been scheduled or have any types of time off in this availability section. What the system allows you to do is to look at those work qualifications. And so when you select a position, it's going to populate those people that can be in that specific position and give you that ability to see those details. You can even update your calculator to pull in any kinds of information that you want to have automatically calculated when it comes to the hours within the system. You can even pull in some member database information if you want to, for instance, a quick access phone book to give people a call. So very easy to update your own view. You keep in mind, since you have your own login and password, you're just changing your own view, not anyone else's. One of the other benefits of the system is you also do have the ability to do some dragging and dropping within the system. So you can drag and drop people into different positions. It will look at those work qualifications, make sure those people are qualified. You can even drag and drop people from the bottom section into those particular spots. So Dan has marked himself available. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule Dan in here starting at 2300. So very easy to just drag and drop into that spot quickly and easily when you're doing those day-to-day changes. So you can go to any day and make those changes. A lot of our supervisors are actually working, either a few days out or even up to a week or two, managing the schedules so that everything as it's looking in the future is ready to go. One of the things I mentioned during our time is we do offer our training workshop. We really strive to make sure that anybody that's in any type of supervisory role or what we call scheduling authority or administratively, to make sure that they know exactly how to use the system. So we offer that training workshop. It's a typical go-to meeting, about 35 to 40 minutes long. We really go into the details of the repeats and rotations, and then we go into the details of the hourly editor. So you don't have to remember everything. Even during our call today, we will train you in on how to use the system, and we can offer those training workshops as much as we would need to. One of the next things I want to jump to is, we see transparency as and accountability as a very important aspect here at Aladtec. So when we take a look at the reports, hands down, the number one feature in our system is what we call our system log. So every action is logged. Even me repositioning someone on the schedule, you've got a date and time stamp so you know exactly who did what. Even usage, you can even drill it down. So if in the event somebody does have a grievance or complaint, then you can go and you can see, and if they said, hey, I thought I did this, you can go right to see what action was taken and who was affected by that. So from the audit trail, we've got a great audit trail in the event somebody has a question about something, or in the case you maybe got busy and you were working on the schedule, you need to come back to it to see, okay, what do I need to do, or where was I? You can use the system log to do that as well. And then from the reporting side, everything does revolve around the schedule, and everything does kick out into the reports. All of our reports are printable, and you can export those out into a CSV or a spreadsheet, do any additional calculations. You have the ability to format that report exactly how you wanted to see. If you wanted to pull in any extra hours, maybe you wanted to pull in some PTO, maybe you've got that threshold of overtime. Maybe you want to split out even the weekends, weekdays, and holidays, pull in some member database information. You're formatting this report for yourself. So you're generating that. So once you click apply, that'll populate all of those details. And once again, printable and exportable, and you can go through. The scheduled time report is going to show you start and stop times, as well as schedules and positions and time types. So a great report, gives you some subtotals so you can kind of keep track of all of those hours, but everything that's revolving around the schedule. So all of those actions, when they're completed, they will filter out into all of the reports. The summary report is a great tool when you're taking a look at a longer range of time, when you're kind of looking at things that are more in tune with what I would kind of say a longer term of a report. Maybe you're trying to generate a report for an entire year's worth, or maybe kind of a year-to-date report of how much overtime that you've paid out, or how much sick leave have you paid out. This has that ability to kind of show you more of a spreadsheet look of the left-hand justified names and all of the columns over on the right-hand side. So this will show you the number of hours. It'll kick out all the details over on the right-hand side. Once again, printable and exportable. So whether you want to see start and stop times or whether you just want to see a summary of those actions, you can see those reports in detail in the Aladtec system. Also, we do have a time clock available. That is an option. So if you do need punching in and punching out, we have that option. It's a virtual time clock. So you would be able to set up any computers as kiosks. So they would be able to go in, log in into the system. It will clock them in, clock them out. And then all of those details as well would get reported into the summary report if you're specifically paying upon when it comes to those scheduled, not scheduled hours, but more of the actual time worked. That time clock is an available option. And then also included in the system, you do have 200 gigabytes worth of storage. So plenty of space to put in things like SOGs, SOPs. You can put in, even things like personnel files. You can even create folders so only certain people can view that information. You can add in training videos, training links, training materials, all kinds of documents and information. You'll have 200 gigabytes worth of storage available to you. And then over and above the schedule, we have what we call our forms tool. So this is an electronic forms tool. This allows you to create an electronic form, allow your members to submit those forms, and then all of those will get documented into the reports. One of the ones that's been really popular over the recent weeks is our COVID-19 employee screening form. So very easy to set that up and have your members log into it. They can go through and they can click the information that they would need to, all of the check boxes, and then even do their signature, and then they're submitting that. So every form can be set up to trigger a notification to a specific individual or group of people. You can also trigger certain types of fields to trigger notifications, but then those would all dump into the report. So when we take a look at the COVID-19 employee screening form report, then this will dump in and show you some of those details. If you see any trends or if you wanted to run a report for a different type of range, you can even get this information out into a spreadsheet if you choose to. So unlimited, the number of forms that you'd create. We have several samples available for you to take a look at if you wanted to take a look at a free trial. But if you've got some that you're using now, either on paper or maybe you have a forms tool, bringing everything under one umbrella of the Aladtec system is really a benefit of the system, a benefit to being in one place that you'd get a majority of that information. Also wanted to mention that in the setup area, there is the ability to make some changes to the setup. So keep in mind, as I mentioned, very little on my end that I can do that you can't. So you can go in and you can make some changes to the back end portion. I mentioned those access levels and creating some additional ones. I mentioned those coverage alerts. This allows you to set up those staggered notifications, whether it be how much time you want to be between messages or notifications. Also lets you select the criteria of how you wanted to award those or sending those notifications. You can add in external links, create some forms folders. If you've got quite a few forms that you have in the system, add in holidays that would allow you to, if you observe certain holidays, that'll earmark that on the schedules as well as the reports. You can add in your pay period, whatever that is defined as. This is also where you create the schedules. So it's very easy if you needed to adjust some schedules. Maybe you need to have some additional staff in the ER. Maybe you need to some additional staff even in the ICU. Very easy to manage the schedules, the schedule names, the positions. You can even create some one-off schedules. We've got a lot of services right now that are creating some temporary COVID schedules. They're able to create those to start on certain days, staff for it, and once they're done with that, they can go in and they can actually archive that so that if they don't need it anymore, but they can still run the reports for that if they're turning that in for any kind of compensation. So very easy to manage the schedules. You can add in things like time off types, whatever types of time off that you would allow, and even those accrual profiles. So if you do bank a certain number of hours of sick leave per month, this allows you to create those profiles or the rates at which those would dump into their banks. And then you can create those profiles, and then it'll automatically dump those into that bank at those rates. Also, we can have that ability to set up some work groups. So think of that as the work groups of the working rules. So if there are some differences between, different types of employees, full-timers and part-timers, exempt and non-exempt. You can create those work groups to set some restrictions and also to set some work limits within the system. So very easy to manage that information. Also like to point out, we do have a partners page, so we do have some integration available to certain partners that we partner with. These are direct integrations, so if you see something that looks anywhere familiar, definitely let us know if you're interested in that integration. We're also looking for additional partners as well. One last thing I like to point out, back to that accountability feature, is our required messages. So if you've ever sent a text or an email, you haven't had a response, this allows you to create a message. And so since we're a system that's completely cloud-based, you can access this anywhere, anytime, you can actually set a message for people's home screen, because we're hoping that we'd be a system that you'd log into quite frequently too. Once you've created that message, then the next time that someone would log in, notice that I'm clicking around to some of the additional features in the system. I can't get any further until I've checked this checkbox that says I agree that I've read and understood this message. I can't guarantee they've read it. I can't guarantee they've understood it, but at least in some way, shape, or form, they are accountable for it. So I click that box, click continue, and then now I can get into the system, the remainder of the system. So great accountability tool, great use of just some opportunities to show some messages, especially as people are logging in. But really, that's a majority of the features that are listed in the Aladtec system. I appreciate your time of joining us. If the next step for you is to maybe take a look at a generic demo, feel free to go to our website and you can sign up for a generic demo. If you're interested in looking at something more detailed, we encourage you to call our 888 number or shoot us an email as well if you're interested in taking a look even more deeper, where you'd want to see even a customized demo. We can have our sales rep set that process up. But at any point you guys have even some questions about the system, don't hesitate to reach out to that 888 number. Our support team will be there to just answer any questions that you might have. I appreciate your time.